Morning, folks. Just get you up on my big screen. Get you up on the big screen. Morning. Morning, Stuart. Morning, Stephen, Susie, Stevie, BJ. Well, moving fast this morning. Good morning, everyone. Linda, Margaret, Nancy, Nigel, Lenny, Sellers, Kirsty, Ian, John. Wow, how are we doing? 79. Okay, no long till we're underway. Morning, Laurie, Harry. Hi, Quentin. Hi, John. Can't wait to go and then we'll get this underway. Morning, Doug. Right, Doug, the take us at 100 mark. So let's get this broadcast underway. Indytruck Davy out the truck and at home, in his office, in his home, in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is, well, it's clearing up and it says it's going to be mostly sunny. 14 degrees. Okay, that's the weather forecast for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. You want to know what the weather's like where you are? Look at your rain bloody Monday. Okay, right, news review. This is a news review for the 4th of the 7th, 2022, or you and me, yesterday. Alright, Monday started with the usual crap and the rags, Scotland shite, and sex scandals at the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers. Alright, the best headline of Monday, that was in the loony right-wing gammon rag, the Daily Express. The loony right-wing gammon rag, gammons at the Express, sorry, write the headline, Greens put Indy before Planet. The rag says fury as Harvey throws weight behind Sturgeon's secret plan. That'll be the secret plan that was announced to the Scottish Parliament and broadcast on national TV and radio to let us poor plebs out here in the world know. Right, so according to the loony rag, the idea of having an independence referendum or a plebiscite election is some sort of secret. I don't know where they get that for though, because let's face it, it was announced to the Scottish public in the Scottish Parliament. And the Pravda broadcast it everywhere, right? The own sex scandals at the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers. Chris Pincher, Tory MP, appears to be a serial groper. It would also appear Johnson knew all about it when he appointed him as a deputy chief whip, alright? And so apparently it was common knowledge in the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers that Chris Pincher was a serial groper and that the 2019 intake were warned about him. It also appears that Bojo the clown was briefed on his behaviour and still promoted him to a deputy chief whip. Unbelievable. So, there are sex scandals in the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers, but hey ho, I mean, let's face it, in the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers, apparently, it must be a great place to work. You can take drugs, you can have it off with your secretary, you can grope people, you can get drunk on the sheep, you can have parties when everybody's in lockdown. So, I mean, the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers must be a great place to work. Wonderful way. Right, moving on, Monday. And the press are reporting that a majority of Tory MPs back a rule change to allow another vote on a vote of no confidence in Bojo the Clown. This comes after polls showing Labour out in front in England and the PM's personal ratings plummeting. Will the Tories oust Johnson? I think it's getting near the time. 2024 is not that far away. And if they're going to oust them, it better be soon because they've got to bed in a new leader. Alright. Right, moving on. That's a good one, Stephen, eh? We'll call the House of Lords the House of Carpet Slippers. Right, moving on. Wednesday, in Poverty Place Sarwar is in London at the Fabian Society to tell us up at the jocks that he has an Indy-busting blueprint for a better Britain. So what's in Sarwar's plan to save the Union? Nothing of any substance. All right, Sarwar says he wants to replace the House of Lords with a Senate of Nations. He wants a Grand Committee where all four nations meet to decide policy going forward. So that'll be another committee where Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales will be overruled. And he wants it to be a legal requirement that the Scottish and Westminster governments work together, and that when there is policy differences, then they come together to sort it out. Never heard so much piss in your life. Sarwar offered nothing yesterday. As I said, he didn't even offer Devo Max, no imagination. He just offered more of the same. But what's interesting about Sarwar and the Senate of Nations and doing away with the Lords, I don't know if you're aware of this, folks, but it's been Labour's policy since 1910 to abolish the House of Lords. The House of Lords is full of bloody Labour peers. I mean, look at old Pissy Pants Fuchs and Lord Darling. In the 70s, they were campaigning to abolish the House of Lords. Now they're stalwarts of the bloody place, picking up their £300 odd a day pension. And what makes Sarwar think that Sir Keir Starmer, is going to abolish the House of Lords, which is where he's heading at the end of his political career? I don't think Starmer even knows who Sarwar is. But anyway, just to put the boot into Sarwar while he's down in London, Starmer announces that Labour won't take the UK back into the single market or the customs union, basically making Labour an absolute busted flush in Scotland. So when we get to the next general election, whenever it is, even if we've had an independence referendum and won it, we're still going to have to send MPs down to the House of Keys, Thieves and Carpetbaggers. So in the event that there is another general election, and Labour won, they're going to need propped up. But apparently the other thing that Starmer announced was under no circumstances will they work with the Scottish Government. So here we have a situation where Sarwar says he wants a Labour government in London and to be legally required to work with an SNP Green Scottish Government, when Starmer's saying he won't work with or cooperate with the SNP. I really do think that Anna Sarwar doesn't quite get how fucking irrelevant he is. I don't think he does. Spanner. Wow. I mean, he's doing there, giving a high and mighty speech about saving the Union with his blueprint for a better Britain. Meanwhile, across the road, his boss is saying, never mind what that Spanner's saying, we won't work with the SNP, and I'm no abolishing the House of Lords, and we're not going back into a single market or customs union. So that's Sarwar and Scottish Labour did. They were already did right enough, they just haven't really bloody done. Right, moving on, Wednesday, in Pollard, where are we? Anyway, everybody in London's wondering who the hell Sarwar is. Alright, and the other thing Sarwar says yesterday is he's given airspace to tell us all that Putin would be gauged up with Scottish independence. Apparently Putin would love to see the break up of the United Kingdom. Well, actually, that doesn't go with the latest reports coming out of the Kremlin. The latest reports coming out of the Kremlin say that Putin's went cold in Scottish independence because Miss Sturgeon has been making alliances and allegiances within Europe and intends to join NATO. So Sarwar's talking pish. But hey ho, Project Fear is up and running, folks. Really up and running. Wow. Anyway, moving on. Where are we? Moving on. Monday. Let's get back to Mary what Sarwar says. Sarwar doubles down on what Starmer says about no working with the SNP. So that blows his whole blueprint for a better Britain right out the bloody window. Moving on, Monday, and Bojo the Clown is back after 8 days of conferences at the G7 and with NATO. So Bojo takes to the Commons to tell us all what he's been up to. So what Bojo tells us in the Commons is that the G7 intend to do bugger all about the cost of living crisis or trying to curb inflation. And then he tells us that we're in it for the long haul with the Ukraine, and that Ukraine must defeat Putin. Alright, that's followed up by the Foreign Secretary, Liz Truss, also saying the same thing, and that we must continue to support the Ukraine. Alright, so there you go, plenty of money for war. 5 million UK kids living in abject poverty. Parents skipping meals or living off their children's leftovers. Grannies riding the bus to stay warm. No money to combat these ills in our society, but the magic money tree, it works for war. There is plenty of... Star Wars no go to day job. There is plenty of money for war, but there's nothing coming down the line to help out with the cost of living crisis. Well, strictly speaking, that's not true, but we'll get a wee bit more of that. Right, okay, moving on. Monday, and the First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, has a call with Bojo the Clown to lay out her plans for Indytruck 2. Alright. Bojo, while on the phone, thanks Miss Sturgeon for raiding the Scottish budget for 65 million quid to go towards the £1 billion aid packet to Ukraine. It's not as if Miss Sturgeon had any say on it. They just chopped it right off the Scottish and Welsh budgets and said, bang, we're taking back 100 million quid between the two of yous because we're going to give £1 billion to Ukraine. Funny that, plenty of money to give to Ukraine, no money to give Granny who's riding the bus and can't put her heating on. Mental. Right, so the First Minister speaks to Bojo, and Bojo tells her that he will reply to her formal letter asking for a Section 30 order in due course. And Davy says, boot long grass. Alright, will Bojo consent to Indytruck 2? Probably. Looking at the way Project Fear's been launched, I would say Indytruck 2 is definitely a goer. Alright. But also Bojo tells the First Minister that later this year he'll get round the table with her and Mark Drakeford, and if the Northern Ireland Parliament's up and running, then Michelle O'Neill to talk about the cost of living crisis. You know, that'll be the cost of living crisis he's created. Wow. So, Bojo will give his formal reply to the First Minister when he can be bothered his arse. Simple as that. Right, moving on. Monday. Fuel Project Fear is underway. Fuel protests are underway. Let me start that again. Moving on. Monday, and fuel protests are underway UK-wide. People power is on the move. This prompts Priti Patel, the awful evil one in the Home Office, to scream, "Arrest the buggers!" So there you have it. People power, take to the roads, brings the UK highways and byways to a standstill, and what's the UK government's answer to the problem? No way to sort out fuel prices, it's arrest the bloody protesters. There's a bit of a pattern here, right? The civil disobedience has started, and if no action is taken by the Westminster government to curb the rampant profiteering of the energy companies and everybody else, and to alleviate this cost of living crisis, then public unrest is coming. But they know that. We're starting on public civil disobedience, like go-slows on motorways and things like that. But there's civil unrest coming, and just to throw a pile in the pot, apparently the railways, train drivers are about to go on strike. Okay, so civil unrest, civil disobedience has started, civil unrest is coming, and that's why they're passing these mental laws down that road to try and curb civil unrest in England. They might be able to suppress it here in Scotland, there's only 5 million here. They might be able to suppress it in Wales, there's only 3 million here. Might be able to suppress it in Northern Ireland, there's only 1.8 million here. But they ain't going to control 55 million English people. So what they're doing is they're trying to put draconian laws in place through the Public Protest Act and the Police Crimes and Courts and Sentencing Act down that road to prevent people from protesting. So Patel throws her dummy out the pram and says, go arrest these bloody protesters, alright? Also, Monday, the National Audit Office to launch inquiry into the Conservative Party's claims that they're going to build or have built 40 new hospitals, right? Now, when it comes to these hospitals, here's what they're claiming, right? A brand new hospital is a brand new hospital, apparently. A refurbished hospital is a brand new hospital, apparently. And if they build a new wing or onto a hospital, then that hospital is to be called a brand new hospital too. Out of the 40 so-called new hospitals, they built 6, refurbed 22. That's it. So they built 6 hospitals, and one of them was a mental facility, and 2 of them were just district hospitals. So no big generals or anything like that. And they've refurbed wings or the whole of 22 hospitals in that road. So they haven't built bugger all really. Alright, so the National Audit Office is looking into the claims. Right, moving on. Monday, when COVID cases rise in Scotland, it sees the Borders National Health Board under extreme pressure. So they take the move to cancel elective surgeries to free up staff to cope with the COVID numbers. That's no good because let's face it, people have been waiting years for operations due to COVID. This is just going to delay people who have been waiting 2 years already to get elective surgery. That's knees, cataracts, hips, that sort of thing. So elective surgery has been cancelled in Dumfries and Galloway because, in the Borders as well. In Borders because, well, there's no capacity. The place is full of COVID. All right, moving on. Also, Monday, the Scottish Government pledged support for the remaining thalidomide victims here in Scotland. There are only 50 survivors left in Scotland, and they're all in their 60s. The Scottish Government has put 14.2 million aside to support them over the next 10 years. The money will cover living costs and healthcare. Those of us who are old enough to remember thalidomide, it was a drug. Thalidomide. It was a drug that was given to pregnant women in the late 50s and the 60s, and it led to deformities in babies. There's very few of them left around, and the Scottish Government's promised to support them for the rest of their life, which is a bloody good thing. Right, moving on. Monday, in Glasgow City Council sold the Mayor's Rolls Royce for 105,000 quid. The car was a gift from Boyd Turnock of the Turnock Biscuit Factory, and the money raised will be spent putting the city's kids through the Duke of Edinburgh Award Scheme. So there you go, the money will be given to the crowd so they can give baubles to the kids. Okay. Also, Monday, the changes to the national insurance comes into play. Bojo the Clown says 30 million UK workers will be 330 quid a year better off. The Davy says it's not going to help. My electricity bills went up by 660 quid since last October. And I didn't realise there was 30 million people in such low paid jobs. You know, that they would be below the threshold where they're going to make this money, where they're going to save this 330 quid. Davy doesn't make that pay rate. Sarah might save, but I doubt it. So there you go. The national insurance changes come into a big fanfare for the Tories, saying it will help with the cost of living crisis. Well, it'll cover half of what my electricity bills went up since last October. There you go. And also Monday, it's announced that the Russians have taken the Luhansk region of Ukraine. Putin's progress is slow but steady. Putin intends to take the whole Donbass region. What will he do after that? Probably turn north and head for Kyiv. So will he stop and the Donbass, which will give him a land bridge to the Crimea, or will he just turn around and head for Kyiv? I think the money's on him heading for Kyiv. Alright. So it doesn't look as if anybody's trying to get the Russians and the Ukrainians round the negotiating table. It would appear that the West are going to continue to tub thump and support the Ukraine to defeat Putin. But they ain't going to defeat Putin. The Ukraine just isn't going to defeat Putin. There's 186 million Russians and 40 million Ukrainians. Sheer weight and number will see the Ukrainians beaten. How many Russian citizens is Putin willing to throw in the fire? Bloody well them all, probably. So, it's a situation where there is no point in the West ploughing all this money into saving the Ukrainians, trying to beat the Russians. It's just not going to happen. No without putting feet on no without putting boots on the ground. Is Putin willing to sacrifice as many Russian citizens as he needs to win? Well, aye, because the West just ain't giving up. They ain't lightening up at all, are they? So it's absolute madness. We're seeing the Ukrainian people suffer. Instead of diplomatic pressure being put on to get Putin round the table, weapons are getting piled in and the bodies are piling high. Meanwhile, back here, where there is no money, allegedly, even though the Treasury's coffers are bulging, Granny's riding the bus to stay warm, as I say, Mum and Dad's eating leftovers, and kids are going to bed cold and hungry at night. And their answer is to give what little they say is around to the Ukrainians to keep getting themselves killed. Mental. Right, that's the subjects I wanted to talk about. So let's have a look and see what the rags have to say this morning. This ought to be bloody funny. Scotland's paper, Labour rules out SNP pact and budget black hole. So we have a couple of lies here right away in the description of the newspaper review this morning. Right, Labour rules out SNP pact. I don't remember the SNP saying they want to get into a pact with Labour. Labour's a deed bloody duck. And of course, the budget black hole. As we know, we talk about Project Fear and propaganda. The Scottish Government can't have a budget black hole. It's legally required to balance its budget. Any deficit that they claim in Scotland's budget is because of cutbacks from Westminster, which is where Scotland's budget is set. And as we know, the budget was cut by 5% this year and will be cut by 2% over the next 5 years. So this crap about a black hole in Scotland's budget, it isn't possible. It's a legal requirement to have a balanced budget. So that's a lot of pitch to start with. Right, let's move on and see what the actual rags have to say. The Metro says, Sarwar, no SNP pact. Labour leader claims nationalists want another Tory UK government. What a load of pish. We want rid of the UK government, Sarwar. This is what this old guy on Question Time was saying on Thursday night. The boy with a beard, I've seen the clip. In fact, I watched Question Time. I went on YouTube and watched it on Friday morning. And what the old boy with a beard said is right. They're no listening, innit? That's why Labour are no electable and the Tories are no electable. They're just no bloody listening. Wow, we want another Tory government. Scots haven't voted Tory since 1955. Right, the Scotsman has go slow, tractors hold back traffic in protest over fuel costs. And the main headline, law should force leaders to work together, says Sarwar. It should be a legal obligation for our leaders to work together, should it? Aye, right. So we'll just do away with political parties, will we? We'll just do away with individual manifesto pledges. We'll just do away with anything that's going to bring a wee bit of conflict between the ideas of Westminster and the ideas in Scotland, eh? Right, the Daily Telegraph has Starmer clashes with party over Brexit, and so he did. The Labour Party are on the main pro-Europe. Starmer has just maybe turned off half his voting pack. Right. What Starmer's betting on is that they don't want another Tory government in there, so they'll take him as the lesser of two evils. And what we got, the record has Scotland's £2 billion black hole. Enormous gap in government budget sparks fears for planned £5 increase to the child poverty payment. Well, you know, they did take 65 million away. That would have bloody well covered it. The Herald has, wait here, this one. This one's an absolute stonker. This is going to be the best one, yeah. Ditching Trident could scupper Sturgeon's plans to rejoin the EU. Defence expert in warning over key SNP policy to scrap nuclear deterrent. See what I mean about Project Fear? Defence expert warning. Warning! Warning! Don't you dare think about independence. Here's a warning and an expert to give you that warning. Funny there was no experts during the Brexit referendum campaign, eh? In fact, we were told to ignore experts. Anyway, what's this numpty saying? The Herald says a defence expert warns that any re-entry to the European Union for an independent Scotland could be blocked if the country removed Trident nuclear deterrent before the UK government finds a new home for the nuclear missile system. However, Professor Malcolm Chalmers also suggests a longer timetable for weapons removal would give Scotland considerable bargaining power. This is a Scotland that's not having a referendum. This is a Scotland that's not going to vote for independence. But apparently, holding on to their nuclear deterrent for as long as they want us to will give us more bargaining power with Europe. You never had so much piss in all your life. Huh? I think France is the only other EU nation with nukes. Right, the National has PM blasted for bizarre claim, for bizarre Indy claim. Johnson says yes vote would be utterly tragic for the whole world. Why? Because it would take little England off the world stage while waving its willy about with its 4 nuclear subs and crap missiles that don't work. Scotland becoming independent would do the world a favour. It would get little England off the world stage altogether, where it's been nothing but a destructive influence for hundreds of bloody years, as we are seeing with them and the Russians having a go at Europe, one for each side. Right, the eye has Cabinet angry at defending Johnson again. Not they're no angry at defending Johnson again. The Cabinet are a bunch of sycophants. Anyway, apparently ministers and aides have been unwilling to defend Johnson over his handling of Chris Pincher's allegations. The eye has been told with dismay. Dismay with the Prime Minister changing his story again. The government sources say Number 10 is trying to manage a breakdown in collective discipline, adding, "We are not in the business of ministers being sent out against their will." Rubbish, they've been doing it for a long time now to protect Johnson. Cabinet ministers have been authorised to depart from the official Downing Street line in their broadcast interviews. I heard that Post Junior Education frontbencher denies that he was sent on TV because no cabinet minister would show up to defend Bojo or Chris Pincher. Alright, the exasperation amongst ministers as Downing Street admits that Johnson was aware that Pincher had been accused of sexual misconduct when he gave him the government job. And apparently Carrie Johnson, she reportedly questioned Pincher's suitability for the job of whip as far back as 2017. What did it go to do with Carrie Simons? She was just somebody that was giving Bojo a bit of head on the side while he tried to wangle her a good job. As if she's got any moral high ground here. Wow. She's sucking bobies in Commons offices. Wow, Jesus Christ, what's a loony rag the Daily Field got for us a day? Victims fear over police probe into sex pest MP. Now apparently, the police have dropped any investigation into Patrick Grady, right? And apparently this staffer who's been making these claims has refused to cooperate with the police. Begin to sound like this staffer is at it. But as we already know, he's made accusations against other people as well. Right, and the Times has Johnson well aware of Pincher's claims before he became PM, and Priti Patel get tough with petrol protesters, police told. So there you go. Government to clamp down on public protest. Right, what's the other loony rag the Express got? Right, fuel protests hit Scotland, and this is only the start. Main routes blocked as expert predicts serious escalation. Doesn't it take an expert to predict serious escalation? Davy's been predicting it. When the cost of living crisis gets to the point where people can't feed their kids, put petrol in their car to get to work, to be productive to feed their kids, then the whole stack of cards comes tumbling down. What we got? The Press and Journal, Land Reform Bill to stop Highland clearances marked through. Clamp down on green layers intending as consultation is launched. What else we got? Let's look see what the Star's got for us a day. And the Daily Star has cost of living crisis, hard up smokers turning to fake fags filled with insect eggs, fungi and even poo. And it says puff doo-doo or puff doody. Alright, so apparently cheap fags are on the black market again because of the cost of living crisis. That'll really help. Right, that's what we'll go for you today, folks. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it informative. Now remember, there's a campaign underway. Project Fear is up and running. You've just heard the headlines. So, partisan politics in your pockets. This one's for Big John Mellon, who believes that I should be promoting a unity within the Yes movement. Big John Mellon doesn't seem to get I've been promoting unity in the Yes movement for years. I've been stating if there's any cracks in the Yes movement, the unions will stick a big lever in it and crack it open. That's why at the end of every broadcast I say, partisan politics in your pockets, eyes on the prize, learn your how you gonies, and get out and win hearts and minds. So there you go, Big John Mellon. You think I should be promoting unity? You always learn when you're watching my shows. I do it every bloody day. But love to you, big fella. Okay. And support the independent media, support Broadcasting Scotland, Independence Live. Caledon Media's got a crowdfunder going there now. If you can help Norrie keep things running and improve things, please make a contribution. Support independent bloggers and bloggers, and of course the national newspaper. It's not the best rag, but it's one we'll go. Okay. And health messaging. COVID is on the rise again, folks. So, face coverings. Sarah's saying our work colleagues get COVID, so she'll need to get tested. Face coverings and enclosed public spaces, all right. And clean hands and surfaces. That's the last two bits of guidance out there. Right, now listen, see if you're feeling a bit off. Get a face mask on and social distance. Use your napper. And if you're testing, like Sarah will be getting tested in a minute, because our work colleague is positive, then who's John Mellon? I'll get to that in a minute, Carl. He's a big friend of mine. We've been teasing each other for 12 years now. Smashing big fella. So, you see, if you're testing, submit your results, please. As I say, it is important so we keep a measure of how much of this is in the community, because it is starting to get out of hand again. All right. Now, you guys have a great day, and I'll be back again today at all the more. All right. Bye for now.